Say y'all? Yeah, back up a little bit. All right. First guy out of the car, who's that?
It's me.
That's you? Which one of the guns do you have?
I got the little Draco style gun.
Okay, that's that semi-automatic weapon, is that right?
Yeah.
You shot that gun a bunch?
Right in there?
Right then and there.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I shot.
After getting caught in 4K, Young Dolph's alleged killer basically said forget it and decided to spill everything to the cops. What he's revealing could crack open a whole new mess that might drag Yo Gotti right back into a case he thought he dodged for good. Let's get into it. When Memphis...
I don't have a relationship with him. I never met him, never did any business with him whatsoever. That's why it was strange to me, all the comments and hoorah on social media accusing me of doing things that was absolutely not true, because I never had any dealings with Yo Gotti whatsoever, period.
Lost its king, the streets went cold. What should have been just another calm Wednesday in South Memphis turned into one of the darkest days in hip-hop history. On November 17th, 2021, around 1 p.m., everything changed for good. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., better known as Young Dolph, was living proof that independence and loyalty could take you far. He stayed real, kept it solid, and always gave back. That day, he stopped by Makita's home.
I do know of a situation, not the name drop, but we got a very well-known, respected NBA player from our city that wanted to see the beef end. He reached out to a well-respected club promoter in Memphis, Tennessee, and asked him to reach out to both parties and try to dead the beef. Well, he reached out to Gotti, and Gotti was all for it. He was open to having a conversation with Dolph, possibly meeting up to put an end to it. When this particular...
Made butter cookies to grab some treats for his mom. A regular act of love that sadly became his final moment on Earth. The next few seconds were pure chaos. Everything got caught on camera, no guessing needed. Just cold, undeniable evidence of a planned hit. Prosecutors later described it like a straight-up mob-style hit job. Two shooters jumped out of a white Mercedes-Benz like they were on a mission from the streets. No hesitation, no warning. They unloaded over 22 rounds into the shop, hitting Dolph multiple times in the chest, back, and head. Right there, gone instantly. The 36-year-old father of 3 and husband to Mia J lost his life in the blink of an eye. The city froze. The streets went silent. Memphis, already drowning in violence with more than 300 murders that year, took another gut punch. Everyone was asking, who wanted Dolph gone so bad? This wasn't just random, this was personal. The whispers in the streets pointed right toward Memphis's rap war, the ongoing tension between Dolph's paper route empire, PRE, and Yo Gotti's collective music group, CMG. The beef had been simmering for years, and now it looked like it had exploded into something deadly. The Memphis Police Department, MPD, and the Shelby County District Attorney's Office jumped on the case quick. That surveillance footage became their golden ticket. It showed everything. The white Benz pulling up, the shooters sprinting off after unloading, and then that same ride later found torched nearby to burn away any proof. Within just a few days, MPD released the suspect photos, and before anyone could blink, 4 names were locked in forever with one of the coldest hits in modern hip-hop. The suspects, Justin Johnson, 26, Cornelius Smith Jr., 20, Hernandez Govan, 24, and Jamarcus Johnson, 27, no relation to Justin. Each of them had their own story to tell, their own version of what went down. But as the case unfolded, it started looking like a tangled web of street ties, old grudges, and alleged contracts that pointed straight toward one of Memphis's most powerful rap bosses. Justin Johnson, known in the rap game as Straight Drop, was one of the alleged triggermen. His name had already been buzzing in the streets before this, but what happened next sealed his fate. On September 23, 2024, after a tense trial that had all eyes on Memphis, Johnson was found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The courtroom was packed, people holding their breath as the verdict dropped. A life sentence just like that. This whole situation ripped the mask off the glamorized image of rap beefs and showed just how deep the streets can cut when pride, loyalty, and revenge collide. Every move, every silence, Every name dropped since that day has only made this story darker, and what's coming next might shake the city even harder. The question still haunting Memphis and the entire hip-hop world is heavy. If the shooters are already behind bars, and if Smith's testimony checks out, then why hasn't anyone higher up been charged? And the biggest question of all, did Yo Gotti, aka Mario Mims, have any role in the death of his longtime rival? To really understand how this deadly storm between Dolph and Gotti ever got to that point, you gotta rewind to 2014. What started out as just a business disagreement turned into one of the most dangerous and tragic rap rivalries the South has ever seen. The streets say the reason Young Dolph ended up catching those bullets goes way back to a decade-long feud with Mario Mims, better known as Yo Gotti, the boss behind Collective Music Group, CMG, the label that launched artists like Moneybagg Yo, Black Youngsta, and later on Glorilla. This wasn't just about rap, it was about power, pride, and the Memphis crown. Back in 2014, according to Dolph himself, Gotti tried to sign him to CMG early on, but Dolph wasn't having it. He turned down the deal and chose to stay independent, saying later that it was about control, about never letting anyone else call the shots for his career. That move, which looked like pure business on the surface, ended up lighting the fuse for years of tension. Gotti, on the other hand, claimed he never came at Dolph hard like that, saying it was all mutual respect that just soured over time. But the energy shifted fast, and what started as a business play turned into something personal and dangerous. By 2016, the beef was out in the open. No more whispers, no more subliminals, it was full-blown. Dolph hit Twitter bragging about turning down major label deals and dropped his debut album, King of Memphis. Everyone took that as a straight-up jab at Gotti, who had long called himself the King of Memphis. That album title alone sent shockwaves through the city, and the tension exploded from there. That summer, Dolph kept adding fuel to the fire with diss tracks and freestyles aimed straight at both Gotti and his CMG artist, Black Youngsta. And Black Youngsta didn't stay quiet. He fired right back with his own track, Shake Some, and even pulled a stunt that shook everyone up. A video went viral showing him and his crew rolling through Dolph's neighborhood, flashing heavy artillery like they were ready for war. That moment made it clear. The beef wasn't staying in the studio anymore. It was creeping into the streets where things get real fast. Gotti tried to keep his distance from the chaos, brushing it off in interviews and clips, calling it playground drama. But anyone who really knew Memphis street life could see this wasn't just rap talk. It was personal. The tension had gotten too deep and the pride too thick for either side to back down. Then came 2017, the year everything started to spiral. The dices hit harder, the messages got more direct, and Dolph dropped the wild track play with Yo B. On that record, he went straight for Gotti's ego, mocking him with the nickname Ho Gotti, and even making claims about being involved with the mother of Gotti's child. Those bars crossed serious personal lines and everyone knew it. There was no going back after that. Gotti, trying to hold his image together, fired off tweets that threw shade without naming Dolph directly. He also dropped his own warning record, showing he wasn't backing down completely. But by that point, this wasn't music beef anymore, it was pride, territory, and power, the kind of mix that makes the streets bleed and the industry hold its breath. Smith painted a wild picture of how it all went down. He said the plan wasn't some long-term setup, it was straight up opportunistic. Justin Johnson needed quick cash to fund his rap grind, studio time, gear, all that. Meanwhile, Smith was behind on rent and desperate to keep a roof over his head. Two young guys, broke and hungry, made perfect pawns for people with money, power, and darker motives lurking behind the scenes. But it didn't stop with the upfront payment. After Smith got locked up in January 2022, things got even sketchier. Reports claim that his legal fees, somewhere between $38,000 and $50,000, were allegedly covered by Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother. That kind of money supposedly came through to keep Smith quiet and to make sure he had a solid lawyer who wouldn't let him flip on anyone higher up. It looked like a classic move to keep the story buried deep. Still, the silence didn't last long. When Smith realized that 20 years in prison sounded a whole lot better than life without parole, he decided to talk. And once he started talking, everything started unraveling. That payment alone spoke volumes. It hinted at serious resources being used to keep the entire operation hidden. Then came the digital trail. Forensic experts from MPD found text messages and burner phone activity that made things even uglier. texts reading "Hit That Boy" and calls routed through Hernandez Govan to numbers allegedly tied to Big Jook himself. On top of that, Justin Johnson's half-brother, Jarrett Johnson, told investigators that Justin had been out here bragging about handling business for Jook before the hit went down. Jarrett even said Justin got a CMG chain as part of his payment, a flashy reward that symbolized both his dream of joining the label and his alleged role as a street soldier in CMG's silent war against Dolph. Yo Gotti went public after his brother's death, posting about his pain and denying any part in Dolph's killing. He called all the claims against Big Jook painful lies, saying people were just twisting the truth. MPD hasn't linked Jook's death directly to Dolph's case, but the streets, they already made up their minds. Then came another twist, a federal probe. In 2023, word leaked that CMG's street connections were under federal investigation. Officials claimed it was unrelated to Dolph's murder, but let's be real, just the fact that it even existed said a lot. It showed how tangled business and street politics had become inside Memphis's rap empire. After beating his own charges, Hernandez Govan jumped on Vlad TV and lit the fire again. He claimed that his arrest and trial were just a setup, a way for prosecutors to corner him and build a path straight to Gotti. He even hinted that Gotti might have secretly helped fund his defense through hidden channels, though nothing's been proven. Govan's attorney denied it all, but the rumors, they're still floating heavy in Memphis. The line between music, money, and murder just keeps getting blurrier. Inside the system, Justin Johnson is living under what prosecutors call protective arrangements, not for his safety from random inmates, but from those tied to Paper Route Empire, still grieving and furious over Dolph's death. Word in court says those protections could include money flowing into his commissary, special visitation setups for his family, and even inmate enforcers making sure he doesn't get touched while doing time. Wild, right? The big question that still echoes through the city and the entire hip-hop world is heavy as ever. Will everyone who had a hand in Dolph's death ever face real justice? Or will this case remain another painful example of how the streets take care of their own while the masterminds stay free? Even Terrence "Gangsta" Williams said it best when speaking on the case. It's hard to get out. That one line says everything. Once you're in the streets, it's almost impossible to escape the cycle. But despite the pain, Dolph's legacy still shines bright. His Paper Route Empire label keeps pushing forward, releasing new music and spreading his message. The Dolph Land Foundation continues its work against gun violence, standing as a symbol of what he truly represented: love for the community, loyalty, and independence. His life may have ended too soon, but his story remains a powerful reminder of how pride and street politics can destroy everything in seconds. And even though Cornelius Smith's confession made it clear who fired those fatal shots, the whispers won't stop. The fingers still point toward Yo Gotti's circle. And with everything that came out in court, some people think those fingers are pointing in the right direction. Whether the justice system will ever fully face that truth is one of the biggest questions still hanging over hip-hop. The streets keep talking, and the world keeps watching.